Well, what is happening, Godzilla fans, Kong fans, Kaiju monster fans, movie fans alike? I am Dial, and welcome to another episode of the In-Depth D-Alysis podcast, Monsterverse Edition, where we once again will be discussing every installment in the Warner Brothers and legendary Kaiju Monsters cinematic universe, starring Godzilla and King Kong. And once again, I am joined by my close friend slash Godzilla enthusiast, Nick Folson.
I really think the new empire is really the friends we made along the way.
Sure, if that's what we want to call it.
Hi everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad to be back.
Yes, glad to be back as well. Um, so yeah, forgive Nick about his audio. It may sound a little distorted, like he's having some Wi-Fi issues, but you can't keep a good brother down. He's gonna try to do everything to get to be on this show no matter what, and I appreciate him for being here regardless.
No one cannot say I'm not dedicated to a bit. No one cannot say I am dedicated.
For sure. And there was no way I wasn't going to have him on this show because we are finally going to be talking about the fifth installment, the fifth film of the Monsterverse, I should say, because actually this is technically the sixth installment if you count the Monarch series. But we're talking about the fifth film of the Monsterverse, Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire.
Which is crazy because the director has said you're not supposed to say the X. It's just Godzilla Kong New Empire.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I just found that out in an interview with Wingard. He said that the X is silent. You just say Godzilla Kong: The New Empire.
It's like a pterodactyl. The P is silent.
I, the English language just doesn't make any sense sometimes.
I mean, if I remember right, the English language is a bastardization of German. So go get mad at Germany, I guess. Or I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a scholar. Why do you think I became an actor?
I'm definitely no scholar either. Um, Man, it's like it sounds cooler to say Godzilla X Kong. So like for me to like now adjust my brain to say it's Godzilla Kong. I'm like, okay, sure. But anyway, that's what we'll be talking about today is Godzilla Kong. Um, Sorry that we're kind of late to review this, but a lot of shit has been happening between us two. We've been busy for a lot of stuff, man. So we were going to get to this. So don't worry. We were going to talk about it, but a little bit delayed. But we're here now. So why don't we get on with the festivities? Let's talk about Godzilla Kong, the new empire. And as always, we have to remind the viewers out there this is a spoiler filled discussion. We'll be talking about this movie as if you've already seen it in the theater. So if you have not seen Godzilla Kong and you don't want to know anything about it, go watch it. We already recommend you go see this because this is a theatrical experience regardless. But go watch it and come back and listen to this if you don't want to know anything about it. So you have been warned. So for those of you who are new, we have reviewed the previous films in the MonsterVerse: Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong. You could check out the playlist. It's called MonsterVerse in Review. You'll see all those reviews. But to give a quick recap on how we feel about the MonsterVerse up until this point, going in, we're both big Godzilla fans. We love Godzilla. Me personally, Godzilla has been something I grew up with. I love seeing giant monsters fight. It's always been my thing. I'm a Power Rangers kid, so all those sensibilities, love that stuff. I've seen the majority of the Godzilla films. I think I've seen almost all of them, the old Godzilla movies, all that stuff. And as far as the MonsterVerse itself, I've enjoyed all the installments of the MonsterVerse. I enjoyed Godzilla 2014. I really enjoyed Kong Skull Island. I really enjoyed Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs Kong. I love that movie. It up to that point, Godzilla vs Kong is my personal favorite of the MonsterVerse. I had such a blast with that film. Um, Unfortunately, that was the only movie in the MonsterVerse that I did not get to see in theaters. I saw the other MonsterVerse movies in theaters, but because of the pandemic, I was not able to see Godzilla vs Kong, and it broke my heart. But there was no way I was not going to see Godzilla Kong: The New Empire in the theater. I was so excited for more installments of the MonsterVerse because other than Marvel, because we already know Marvel is the gold standard when it comes to cinematic universes, but as far as the MonsterVerse, that this seems to be like one of the only consistent cinematic universes as far as quality and continuity and stuff like that, and just overall enjoyment. It's like everyone wants to talk about Marvel, and DC's about to put their hat back into the ring. But MonsterVerse, you got to consider that to be up there as far as like really enjoyable cinematic universes, at least for me, anyway. So I was excited for more installments of the MonsterVerse. I thought Adam Wingard did a good job with Godzilla versus Kong, and I did have my apprehensions because he was the same director who did the live-action Death Note movie on Netflix. So I had some my apprehensions, but he ended up making my favorite in the MonsterVerse so far. So before that point, we did have the Apple TV Plus show Monarch, um, and we will review that at a later date. But overall, I enjoyed that show. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's unfortunate that they weren't able to get that show on Max, but I'm sure Legendary was still angry about Warner Brothers releasing all their movies day and date in 2021. So they're like, you know what? No, we're gonna go to Apple TV Plus because y'all are tripping. But overall, I did like Monarch, and then we got this little film that came out called Godzilla Minus One that took the entire world by storm. Like that movie blew up, and I did not expect for it to blow up as much as it did. But it was a really really good film, and a lot of people consider that to be the best film of last year. Um, and it also won an Oscar for best visual effects. So everyone was raving about that film. So much so that when they started to do the marketing for Godzilla Kong, people were starting to do tribalism between Minus One and Godzilla Kong because Minus One gave us such great human character, development. Like everyone was raving about how great the human characters were because up until that point with the MonsterVerse, everybody was complaining about how underdeveloped the humans were. That a lot of people think that the humans were terrible. But then Minus One came out, and everyone loved the human characters in that. And so they're just looking at Godzilla Kong now, being like, it's going to be more of the same old schlock. Like, how could they release this type of movie when Minus One came out and it's actually a great film? We're tired of these dumb monster movies. And I'm over here like, can't we just have both? Because Godzilla is a lot of things. It evolves with the times. It's able to change different genres and different tones. That's how Godzilla stood the test of time for today. Yes, it's great to have like the like the war allegory and serious stuff with Minus One, but you could also have the fun monster fight Saturday morning cartoon stuff. So I appreciate that we have both. So I wasn't gonna try to have the tribalism there. Like I wasn't going into Godzilla Kong expecting anything less than a big old monster brawl. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to have a fun time, similar to how I felt about Godzilla versus Kong. I wasn't expecting anything too like thought provoking and serious. That's not what I came to these movies for, man. I came to see Godzilla Kong fighting together. Like freaking Godzilla's pink. And Kong has a giant gauntlet on his arm. That's that Saturday morning cartoon Power Ranger stuff that I love to see, man. So I was excited to see this movie, regardless of what people thought. And I saw this opening weekend, and I just got to say, before I say my overall thoughts, it was so great to see this in the theater, because like I said, I felt so bad that I missed out on Godzilla versus Kong, but it was felt so good to see a MonsterVerse movie in the biggest screen possible. It just felt so right again, you know. Because like, how long has it been? It's been 2 years after 2 years since Godzilla versus Kong came out, right? Because it came out 2021. 2 or 3 years because it's 2024 right now. But so yeah, it's been a minute, but it was just great to be back in the theater again. So overall, what did I think about Godzilla Kong, the New Empire? I had a blast, man. I had such a fun time watching this movie. I know a lot of you are upset when I'm saying this. A lot of you are thinking, how could you enjoy this movie? It's so freaking dumb. It's so over the top. It's so ridiculous. Stuff doesn't make any sense. How could you enjoy this film? You know what? If y'all want to take my critic card, go ahead and take it, man. I can't lie, man. I just had so much fun watching this. Yes, me as a critic, there's a lot of things to pick apart with this movie. Yes, there are some plot holes. Yes, there's ridiculous concepts. Yes, there's over the top moments. Yes, it gets really, really silly. It gets very over the top. But you know what? I can enjoy it because, like, this movie brought me back to when I was a kid. You know, like I had those similar feels like watching Power Rangers on TV, watching the old Godzilla movies. Like it brought me back to that. It brought my inner child back again. So yes, I can acknowledge. Is this like the most well written movie? No, it's not. Is this movie going to win any Oscars? Other than visual effects, probably not. But I'd be lying if I said that I did not have a smile on my face from start to finish. Like I got what I wanted. Like I love this movie. I really enjoyed it. But those are my thoughts. Tell me, Nick, what did you think about Godzilla Kong: The New Empire?
Well, I gotta start from the beginning because that is a very good place to start. I like you. I've always been a Godzilla fan since I was a kid, and I've now pretty much seen every Toho Godzilla film. Thanks Criterion for Showa Collection, fantastic, and also just Pluto TV for having the entire Godzilla movies up till Final Wars. Plug, go watch that. It's free. Um, adore Godzilla. I very much love nearly honestly every Godzilla movie. Even Godzilla's Revenge, All Monsters Attack. I've now really warmed up to that movie because I understand what that movie is trying to say.
Even Godzilla 1998?
Honestly, even 98, because like even though it's not really a Godzilla movie, it is still a fun movie. Like if I'm going on a vacation or a bus or taking the bus to somewhere, and it pops up on TV, I'm not gonna be like, ugh, no, I'm not watching it, go away, nah. I'll be like, I'll watch it, I'll kill time. It still is a decent. It's a schlock. It's a Roland Emmerich 1990s disaster movie. It's not Shakespeare. It's like Independence Day. That may be a good movie, but it's not Shakespeare. It's a popcorn flick. You know what you're gonna get, and it's fun. But and when I remember, I think Dwayne can vouch. Remember the 10-year drought was hell. It was absolute
Yeah.
hell for especially newer fans. Which I'm just so happy that now we have all of this kaiju boom that we have new fans. But to new fans, literally after Godzilla Final Wars, which did terribly, it did terribly at the Japanese box office. Toho were ready to just sell it. They were just ready to end the whole franchise. Just saying, we're not going to make Godzilla. People have shown they don't want to see Godzilla. So they were ready to just scrap it. And it was on ice for 10 years. There was just nothing. No news, no nothing. But behind the scenes, Yoshimitsu Banno, who was the director of Godzilla vs. Hedorah, he was trying for years to make a new Godzilla movie. He was trying for at that point possibly a decade of getting a new Godzilla movie. And during that long period, he was trying to make a 3D Godzilla movie, which if you're a Godzilla fan, you probably have heard of, called Godzilla 3D to the Max, which would have starred Godzilla and a new version of Hedorah called Defla. And he was trying so hard to just be like, I want to make another Godzilla movie. Like, say what you will about Godzilla versus Hedorah in its quality as a film, but the man, you can tell it's unique and it has a voice and a style, definitely making it one of the most unique of the franchise. But his tireless effort to just make a Godzilla movie is admirable, and that's why if you see a Godzilla, any of the MonsterVerse movies, he is still executive credited as executive producer, even though unfortunately he's no longer here with us. I believe he passed away in 2017. But
Mm,
his tireless effort to try to make a Godzilla movie after his first one is admirable. And then going to 20, I would say not even 2014, 2013. I remember hearing just rumblings of, hey, there's gonna be a new Godzilla movie. Like, well, there's gonna be another Godzilla movie. You can remember that doing like really,
yeah.
really, and it was just like it was. Most people were like, nah, that's not gonna happen. But then once Comic Con came around, and we got like people snuck as they always do, sneak footage, sneak their cameras in to see it. We got the first glimpse of the MonsterVerse, and it was, I think, a collective like just shattering of like, oh my god, Godzilla's coming back. We're getting another Godzilla movie. And 2014 comes around, and it's a great movie. It is a great movie. Does it have its flaws? Oh, absolutely. I will vouch for it. It's definitely not my favorite of the MonsterVerse. It is about middle of the road, but but to bring back a thought to be dead franchise, it will hold a place in my heart. Now, just we just need to get a better home media port, because that movie's too dark. And I
Yeah.
don't mean in subject matter. It's too dark. I can't see anything. And literally every time a brightened, just brighten the footage, everyone goes like, "Oh wow, this movie actually looks great," and it looks great. It does look great. It's
Right.
just, why is it so dark? Who did that? That's like
Right.
shooting somebody in the foot.
Yeah, no. Like, so the Blu-ray and 4Ks didn't help with that either.
No, no. I think they made it worse, because I think they said who saw it in the actual theaters, they could see something. But then the home ports came out. I know, because I had the home port. It was nothing. It was dark. It was just nothing. You couldn't tell what was happening. So I don't know. Make a remaster of 2014 and just brighten the quality, just brighten the screen, and we'll be good.
Like,
But
literally,
moving on, then we got
when YouTubers can brighten up this thing. Like,
right. If a YouTuber with pretty much bubblegum duct tape and a lot of prayers, their budget can do it, why can't a $1 billion company do it? I don't know. But moving
yeah,
on to Kong Skull Island, I think that one surprised us. It was like, oh, we're getting a new King Kong. Oh, wow, whoa, and it's good, and it's in the
after Peter
70s.
Jackson's King Kong.
Right after, like, say what you will about that movie, you can tell Peter Jackson loves King Kong. That is still, I would say, my favorite King Kong movie. Like outside of Monster, that's still a great movie. So like coming here and being like, wait, it's King Kong, but it's in Vietnam, the Vietnam era, no longer the 1920s. Okay, color me intrigued. And intrigued I was, because it's a great movie. It is absolutely great. And plus, I do love Jordan Volk Roberts for dunking on YouTube critics like CinemaSins for dunking on them, and
Oh yeah,
he went up on my like directors list, because I was like, okay, I respect that, because sometimes, I'm not saying names, but sometimes there are some YouTube critics who kind of miss the point of film, and just it's a journey. You don't need to nitpick everything. I'm not saying names, but maybe there's some people who take cinema and doing sins just a little too much, a little too much. But hey, I'm not saying any names. But going on
or
to
there are certain people that are like
there's
a little too angry when they're reviewing stuff.
yeah, like I said, I'm not calling any names, but you
Yeah,
know
not
who you
calling
are.
names,
You
but I'm
know who
just
you
saying,
are.
you know.
Yeah, but moving on. After, I think, I unfortunately was not able to see 2014 or Skull Island in the theaters. I had to wait till home releases, or more sailing the high seas kind of ways. Until then, we heard rumblings of, wait, Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah are coming into the Monsterverse? No, get out of here! No, no, no! Until the post-credit scene of Skull Island reveals, oh no, they're coming! And
Yep.
I think everyone lost their collective minds. It was like those are you. I think we all expected. Okay, they're gonna bring Godzilla in, but they're gonna make their own monsters. You know, the old guys are not coming back. No, the old guys are coming back, and they came back in a big way with King of the Monsters.
Hmm.
I finally got to see this one in theaters, and it was definitely an experience. I just had a big smile on my face watching this movie because you could tell Michael Dougherty was a person who loved Godzilla, loves Godzilla and just giant monsters. This one, I think, showed how big these characters are. That these characters are not just, oh, they're just monsters and smashing things. These were characters. These are characters who have been around for over 50 years and are still legendary, but no pun intended. And it was just a good time. A good time. And then we finally get to Godzilla versus Kong, the rematch we've been not only waiting for nearly 50 years, but also due to so many delays and pushback and pushing the date release dates back. Felt like this movie was never coming out. It just felt like, oh, this is not coming out. It's gonna be like the unicorn. We're just chasing the unicorn. It's gonna come out sometime. It's gonna come out here. It's gonna come out here. When it finally came out, and unlike Dwayne here, I actually got to see it in theaters when I wasn't living in New York. I got to see it in IMAX, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
I'm glad
It's
you had a good time.
Oh, it was. I had a great time, and not only that, I got to see with other MonsterVerse fans. That was always. It's always fun. I will always say, watching a movie in the cinema is a collective experience. It's always when you have. I think we can all remember when we saw Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. Just the reactions made that movie even more fun. Oh, some people did take it a little overboard. It was still just so fun seeing Thor coming into from with Stormbreaker and Cap holding Mjolnir. It was those are just that's what makes the film going experience so fun. And it was just like going to my actual thoughts. It's a great movie. It is just fun. Like this was the time the MonsterVerse just got to be fun and just go crazy. Because that's the thing we can do with this franchise. Everyone who's going I love Minus One. It was my movie of the year for 2023. It was fantastic. But that's the thing. That, even before the MonsterVerse, that's what Godzilla always did. He was anything. He could be your superhero Saturday morning cartoon with the later show movies of Godzilla versus Megalodon, like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, Godzilla versus Gigan. He could be the hero for children, and he can also be the allegory for nuclear war. From the only country who has gone through with nuclear war, it can be that, and that's the fun part of this. Anyone who's going to be like, I want my Godzilla, like you can have your preferences. You can have your preferences. I personally like a Godzilla who is more destructive and the antagonist of a movie, but I will still love a Godzilla who is saving the day and just suplexing monsters, which we will get to. We'll get to that.
Oh,
But that's the fun part of being Godzilla, of having Godzilla. It can be anything. And I just want and my thing now, as an older Godzilla fan who's been around the bushes, I just want to see monsters just doing stuff and just making me have emotions, whether that is joy or terror or legit crying, weeping tears during the movie. So yes, if that whole monologue did not show, I love this stuff. I love this. I'm still trying to get Dwayne to do a Gamera podcast or an Ultraman podcast. I could talk about this stuff for ages. I love it so much.
we'll try. I'm trying to get done. I'm trying. We'll get it done at some point. Um. So as far as like, where does this rank for you in the MonsterVerse so far?
Definitely this one is top. It's in the top, like top five or top three, just like one. Because no shock, we saw this together.
Of course, it's top
We
five.
saw.
There's only five. There's only
I
five.
was, that sounds weird. Like, of course it's top five. There's only five. Like, it's weird. Fight me, but definitely it's top three. It's in my top three favorite movies. Like,
Okay.
I had a great time. Yeah, yes, the plot is absolute paper thin. It is paper thin, but we all know what we're here for. Anyone who's trying to be like, I'm here to experience culture and see the true machinations of the human psyche. I went to Juilliard, so I know anything about film theory.
But Godzilla -1, man. Where,
like
why
like
is it like Godzilla -1?
like those people, we know what we're getting with this. Like the trailers made it clear what this kind of movie is. So like, well, yes, the character, like I will say, the characters are a little weak, but they did the smart thing of not making it an ensemble cast, of just keeping it to a central core, core four, which if you're a fan of Scream, you'll get that, a core four, and they
There you
did a They actually were pretty decent. They were I feel they were better here than they were in Godzilla versus Kong, where they had a larger cast and people did get shafted to the sideline. That for here they got their defining like characteristics that made us go like, okay, I can care about them. So that was I think that was better than Godzilla versus Kong.
I agree. Um, I'm probably with you. It's probably my third favorite. Because as I said before, Godzilla versus Kong is my favorite, and then I think, jeez, I think King of the Monsters might be second for me, and then this.
Honestly, I think that's mine too. I think King of the Monsters is number one for me. Then Godzilla versus Kong, second place, and this is third place.
Mhm. But yeah, still, yeah, I don't think this is the best one. Um, but yeah, definitely top three. Speaking on the humans, I also agree with you there. Is that like it just makes me laugh sometimes how everyone just like treats the humans like they're cancer to these MonsterVerse movies. It's like they're treated like they're the like Michael Bay level human characters in Transformers movies, and they're nowhere near as bad as that.
Oh, not even close.
Not
Not
even
even close.
close.
Plus, we still need human beings because whether you like it or not, people still need to be on a film set, make a paycheck. It's still a job, so like they can't fully be no humans. But we got honestly, I think we got a great balance with that with this movie. More monsters and more a good balance of human and monster action.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like the humans, like I know that some people don't even want to have humans in this. Like they want to pretty much have a silent film with monsters, which that would be an interesting thing to try if they decide to do that. But like you need humans there to help it, move the plot along and explain what's certain things what's going on. So like that's what the humans really serve their purpose here for. And I do agree with you. Like they this is like this is like the least amount of like humans that we had to deal with, and it doesn't feel like they're overtaking the movie like the previous films did. And yeah, the core four. Uh, so I thought that was good. And but yeah, as you said, like I'm surprised like how much time we spent with the monsters just doing their thing. It's like literally there's like 10-minute sequences of the monsters just interacting or fighting, or it's just like, so that's why I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing like a movie with just the monsters and have it be a silent film, because like what really shocked me specifically with Kong and like Suko and the other monsters, but mainly Kong and Suko, is that they're able to express a lot without saying any words. Like their use of facial expressions and just like you're able to understand how they're feeling. Like it almost feels like you understand, like when they're like just doing grunts at each other. It almost feels like you know what they're talking about when they're like, interacting with each other. So it's like it brought me back to stuff like the modern Planet of the Apes films, where like they only communicate for like the first couple of movies. They communicated through sign language and very minimal words here and there, but like you're able to understand, how they're feeling, what message they're trying to get across. It was a similar thing with this, and I was like really really impressed by that. I found myself more engaged with what the monsters were doing than the humans. So I thought all of that was really really good. um I guess we should get like the human characters. Let's get the human characters out the way, and then we can get into the good stuff with the monsters. Um, so starting out, let's talk about Rebecca Ferguson as what's her name? I forgot her
I
name.
think Dr. Andrews.
Yes, Dr. Andrews. She was once again she was solid in this. Um, I liked her in the first movie. Pretty much just the person running the she was running the Skull Island stuff until Skull Island got destroyed. But like she's the main person running the Hollow Earth stuff, and she's mainly there to give exposition. But I didn't really have a problem with her. Like she was pretty solid, and I also did like the relationship that was built with between her and Gia from Godzilla versus Kong. Like I like the more mother daughter relationship. We start to see more of that in this movie because like they tend to hint at it a little bit in Godzilla versus Kong, but they didn't have a lot of time to really go into it. But here, like the actual mother daughter stuff, I thought was pretty nice. What did you think about I'm sorry, Rebecca Hall, not Rebecca Ferguson.
I was gonna say, who is Rebecca Ferguson?
You don't know who Rebecca Ferguson is?
I was gonna say that's not who Dr. Andrews is. I think
Yeah,
that's someone
okay.
completely else.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They're both called Rebecca. Rebecca Hall. I apologize. But what do you think about Rebecca Hall in this movie?
Well, Rebecca Hall, just like in Godzilla versus Kong, is pretty much just there to put exposit what is going down, and that is it's a hard thing to do because you're just putting information in. But she does a good job of explaining it and making it be like, okay, I know what's happening now. She's very good at that because that it can be hard to do to keep someone like to explain something is one thing, but to keep somebody engaged to keep the story going is another thing, and she does a great job at that.
Right.
Job at that.
Yeah, it's like she doesn't come off robotic. Like she still comes off as like a regular person, but she's able to get the information across without it feeling like robotic or artificial. So she still felt like an actual person. And I think it helped a lot because of her relationship with Gia, which let us talk about Gia. Um, Gia was probably my favorite human character in Godzilla versus Kong. Specifically because the actress is actually deaf in real life, and they incorporated that into her character into the movies, and I thought that was a really interesting dynamic that she had with not only with Dr. Andrews, but with Kong as well, because she's the only person that's able to human that's able to communicate with Kong through sign language and stuff like that. And that helped to make Kong feel like a more relatable monster. Because I know, like, I hear from a lot of Godzilla fans that were disappointed that Kong was like the main focus of the Godzilla Kong movie, but in my opinion, I think that was a smart approach. Not just because I'm more of a Kong fan, but the fact that Kong, I think we're able to connect with Kong easier than we do with Godzilla. And so with his interactions with Gia, I thought it just helped to make just make stuff feel like more like you're feel more invested in both of them. But and they also elevated Gia's role in this, which we'll get to later. But that stuff did feel kind of cheesy sci-fi ish. I'm not gonna lie, felt like some Star Trek stuff they were trying to do with her with with the telepathy with the other natives. We'll talk about the natives in a minute, but just like I thought that stuff was interesting. What you think about Gia in here?
Oh, Gia's great. Gia is like I Gia's great. Like I will give it to Katie because pretty much she is the lead of this movie. She is pretty much the lead of this and has to carry the whole, nearly carry this whole movie, and she does a great job. Like it's just she just like you could see her eyes. Her eyes are always active. She's always active. She's not all tuning out of anything. She's always in the moment, just seeing that on screen, which is hard because let's be real, most of this movie is sets in green screen, so like you feel like let the camera, let the monsters do the work, but you still gotta act, and she does a great job. And she's still relatively young. She's only about 16 or 17 years old, and pretty much being the lead in two Hollywood blockbusters. Not everyone can do that. Not I couldn't do that if I was 16 or 17. Could you, Dwayne?
Not unless I've been trained since birth.
Right. So like tip to the hat. Tip to the hat. This is she did a great. She was great. She was really great. It is a little weird about the celebrity thing with the monsters, but like I said, we're gonna talk about the EOE later on.
Right, right. Um, Brian Tyree Henry returns in this. I thought he was solid in Godzilla versus Kong, and it's more of the same here. I thought he had some. He's one of the two comic reliefs in here. Um, Once again, it's just I thought he was fine. There's some jokes that he did that I liked, and then there's some jokes that felt a little too much. I'm surprised that he's not working for Monarch at this point because what he helped with it with Mecha Godzilla and stuff like that, and all the knowledge that he does know about the monsters and Hollow Earth. I'm surprised they never really appointed him. He's still doing his podcast stuff that's barely getting off the ground, but Bernie was fine. What do you think about Bernie?
I already love Brian Tyree Henry. He's a former Broadway baby, so like I have shared blood with him, and he shared blood with him. But I loved. He was my favorite character in Godzilla versus Kong. So I already very much enjoyed him. And here, it was just more, pretty much, it was feeding blood to a vampire. I enjoyed him there, and now I get more of him here, which is, I will agree with Dwayne. It is weird that he is not working for Monarch, but I guess he is the conspiracy nuts. Even Monarch is like, yeah, you're too crazy even for us. So like, you can say that you were there, and we won't come after you, but it is just one of those weird things. Like even as a desk job working for Monarch, he doesn't have to be on the front lines. It is just a weird thing. But I very much love Bernie here.
Mhm. I mean, I definitely don't think he can be denied after this point. So like in the next installment, if he's not working for Monarch, what are we doing here? Like he's helped with so much at this point. Like give him something, as you said, at least a desk job or something. You're gonna need all the conspiracy people to keep up with what's going on. But yeah, and then we have a newcomer. We have Dan Stevens as Trapper, and he was a pleasant surprise. I do like Dan Stevens. The main thing that I know him from is he played Beast in the live action Beauty and the Beast, and he was really good in that. Other stuff like seemed I don't really remember. He's worked with Adam Wingard before, so that's probably why he's in this. So Wingard can work with people that he's familiar with. But he was he was actually really really good. I thought he was funny. And I like his whole thing that like he's the pretty much the veterinarian for the kaiju monsters. And like a dentist. Like there's one sequence where he's pulling out Kong's tooth because he has a cavity. Like that was very interesting to see, like a division and a monarch where they actually do that type of stuff for the kaiju monsters. That actually adds another layer to where it's like, you know, they actually tend to these monsters, to their wounds and all the other stuff that they need. So that stuff was really really interesting. Um, but yeah, like he was funny, he was charismatic, and I actually liked the scenes that he had with Birdie. Like when they're both together, they actually do have some really really funny scenes. And he actually helped contribute to the stuff going on in the film. So really really liked him. What do you think about Trapper?
I think Trapper, honestly, now looking back on it, I think he may be my favorite character in the movie because I thought he was just was just like nice to have just a chill dude who's just who's helping take care of giant monsters. It's just that we just love that. That's just something to be just like, okay, I can tell you're just enjoying your life right now, and I'm for it. And honestly, I know a lot of people have been putting this out in the air, fielding this, hoping, manifesting this. Is Adam Wingard has already come out and said he wants to do a sequel if it does well,
He wants
and
a
the movie has,
trilogy.
yeah, he wants a trilogy, and the movie well, it's done very well, and a lot of people are going like, hey, if they want to bring Jet Jaguar into the MonsterVerse, Trapper be the one who creates him and pilots him? I'm
Yes,
and I'm kind of for it. Now looking at that would be a lot of fun. Like just picture Jet Jaguar coming out and like blaring 80s hair metal. That would be amazing.
bruh. I I would be so for that, man. I would be so excited if they do that. Like Trapper and Birdie working a jet jaguar, like Jaeger. Like, man, take all my money. Take all my freaking money. Um, and we'll theorize about what they will possibly do in the third movie later on. But like,
Right.
yeah,
But yes, I very much love Bernie and Trapper were my favorites of the whole movie. I love their duo. Their comedy was great. It reminded me very much of our friendship. It was very much like our friendship, and I very much want more of them.
very much so. It did. It does remind me of our dynamic. It is so funny. Um, so these I do want to mention these natives in Hollow Earth. What are they called? Who are they called again?
The Iwi.
The Iwi. So they seem to that was interesting. That like there's like these clan of people that live in Hollow Earth, and I guess at this point, you shouldn't be too surprised. Anything could happen in Hollow Earth. I guess they could be like a human civilization down there. We expand more on the locations of Hollow Earth here, which I thought was very very interesting. Um, but the whole thing of like that Gia is like a descendant of them, and she possibly has telepathic powers, and she sees visions of stuff happening down there. That was very interesting. Um, I don't know. It's like she was having those visions because they were calling for help. Was it because they knew Skar King was going to break out, or was it for something completely different? That wasn't fully clear. I guess we could assume they knew that Skar King was going to break out or whatever, but like that was just very interesting how all that came together. And like also keep in mind that she came from Skull Island, and that was a completely different tribe than what we're getting here. And so it's like, are the natives in Skull Island like distant cousins of these tribe in Hollow Earth? I just had a lot of questions with that. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm the same. The Iwi were just kind of there, and which I guess it's just one of those weird things. We're just there to be the natives that Kong always has in every piece of Kong media, and but yeah, and plus just showing like the Skull Island natives were way different than the Hollow Earth Iwi, so it is just weird, and it's like they were kind of weak. Like they all looked great. The costume design for
Yeah,
them looked great, but it was just it was a very much like, oh cool, the Iwi, but then it's just like, okay, we're doing it. It's just an
yeah, yeah. I get a similar feel like with the natives in Skull Island because they didn't like go into their stuff either. So it's another thing of this like, and especially like I would have liked to know more about them because they have a connection with Mothra, which we'll talk about her later as well. But like, and then they don't speak at all, and they communicate through telepathy. That's actually really really cool. And then they have these crystals that's able to alter gravity down there. Very very fascinating. And
as
they,
one does. What don't you have a gravity shifting crystal, Dwayne? It's all the rage nowadays. They have them all at Marshalls.
I seem to have missed out. They must have all been sold out. but um but yeah, all of that I thought was just really really fascinating. This which we go more into that. Maybe they will in the third movie, but only time will tell. Um I think this goes without saying. We've said this in the previous movies. The visuals, the cinematography is gorgeous. Like this movie pops. Like this is the most color I have seen in a Godzilla movie in a long time. I like the use of pinks and blues and oranges and all that stuff. It just pops. It's just so crazy to see how far we've come since Gareth Edwards' Godzilla movie, as we talked about earlier, where everything was just so grainy and like gray and trying to be so, grounded and dark, and you barely can see anything. And then we get to this where it's just like neon colors, pinks, blues, all that. And I'm just happy that now we're just like fully seeing these monsters in the daytime, fully seeing the colors, fully seeing everything. It's just I love to see everything pops. And as we say many times before, there are so many shots in this movie that is desktop wallpaper, like a whole bunch of desktop wallpaper moments. It's just amazing. The monsters, once again, looks great. Like like not too much I can say that I haven't already said already in the previous movies. The monsters look amazing. The details, with the fur and the skin and the eyes, all that stuff, and it just on top of the fact that these monsters are emoting like the most that we've seen in the MonsterVerse. Um, Now there is one thing the one criticism that I have heard online that and other people that I discuss is that the scale of the monsters doesn't feel as massive in this. And mainly, I think it's because we spend so much time on Hollow Earth, where there's a bunch of kaiju monsters, and they all look relatively similar in scale, and we spend so much time with just the monsters alone. There's not that contrast of scale because the humans aren't there. And I kind of felt a little bit like the more time we spent with the monsters, the more I keep forgetting that these monsters are huge, especially because of the way they move. Another thing is that these monsters are moving much quicker than they did in the first couple of installments in the MonsterVerse. So it's like that feel of scale kind of got diluted until like you see monsters and humans actually in the same shot, where it's like, oh yeah, they are huge. But like, did you feel that? Because I kind of felt that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I felt that. Yeah, that is one of my critiques with this movie is that we do lose the scaling once we hit the Hollow Earth. It is kind of lost how big these monsters are. Because then you're just thinking, oh yeah, they're about like about human size. No, they're huge, and you do lose that once we hit the Hollow Earth because it is just like it's one of those just how big are they until we're seeing them in cities or hanging out with the other characters. That is one fault of the movie that I think is just unavoidable, especially when you're spending so much time with the monsters that you're just gonna be like you forget how big they are when like there's no humans to scale them with. Which is once again a reason why you should always have a human cast for anyone who's trying to be like, oh, I don't like the human cast. We can see how big something is because we're small. We are small, 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 teeny, weeny, weeny.
Exactly. Like now, I'm just thinking about it. For those of you who are asking, like, can we have a Godzilla film without humans? Well, this is what happens when you have. Well, they're giving you a taste of how that would feel like if there was no humans. Like you forget that these guys are monsters, and it's just like when monsters are standing next to other monsters, they look like we forget they look like they're like human size, and they move like they like the same speed as humans, but we keep forgetting that these are giant monsters. um so that was that was one little critique that I had. But let us let's go one by one with these kaiju monsters. I think let's start with the like the side monsters, like the new ones. Like there's the what was it, the wart, the wart wolves, whatever they're called, those wolf things that were chasing Kong in the beginning of the movie. Um, I thought,
I'm glad you remembered because I literally was looking at you like what the what the
th-
what.
yeah,
Even I didn't know they had a name.
yeah, the wart dogs. That's what they're called. Um, Okay, solid designs. Like I personally do like when they create new monsters. Like it's cool that when they introduce like the Toho monsters in this, but I like that they're also creating original monsters here. But as far as designs, they just look like a giant. They just look like mutated wolves. That's pretty much it. There's not much to them other than that. And then there's these bat creatures that have these yellow bat creatures with black stripes that look like yellow zebra pterodactyl bat things. Um, those are solid too. Like reminded me of some Jurassic Park stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Doug's back.
Which was all I would cheat. I was like, yee, Doug's back. Doug
Doug's,
is always great.
yeah, I like Doug. I like Doug. Um, oh, okay. Also, there's this like leviathan looking thing that Suko tries to trap Kong with in the ocean. That was a cool kind of design. Um, I forgot what was that Arctic aquatic monster that Godzilla fought.
Oh,
Like
Tiamat.
Tiamat. Yeah,
Yep,
that
she has shown up before in the comics. She fought Godzilla previously. That's why I was excited when she showed up. I was like, oh yeah, they fought before, and Godzilla did like she ran away. So this was a round two for them. But yeah, Tiamat has she's shown up before in Monsterverse media. Same with
oh
Scylla.
oh okay, cool. Wait, Scylla, is that the giant spider looking thing?
Yep, that was the spot. Yep, that was the one that Godzilla killed when he was in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, because it showed up at King of the Monsters right at the end.
Oh yeah,
Was
that's right.
Yep, it was one of the monsters Ghidorah released that heard the call.
Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. And then it was a surprise. Well, it's kind of a surprise, and then it kind of wasn't because they kind of alluded that there would be some survivors, but it was nice to see a whole bunch of other giant gorillas out there. Um, so yeah, I'm glad to see that Kong is not like the only species species left as far as giant gorillas. I'm glad that he's able to find his people, because like they alluded to the fact that all of his kind was killed off by skull crawlers, but that is not the case. So that's cool. Um okay, so yeah, I guess now we can start getting into the main ones. Let's start with Suko. Everyone calls him Baby Kong, and I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, Suko. I'll admit, like, even though yes, I said before that I grew up with the silly Godzilla stuff. I remember Godzilla and Godzuki and all that stuff. Mighty Joe Young. So yes, I like. I shouldn't be too. I shouldn't be too surprised that they tried to do like a similar character like that. But even I would admit, when I saw him in a trailer, I'm like, oh, we're really going there. Oh, we're having a baby Kong. Oh, like, oh boy, hopefully this won't be too silly. And I really like Suko in this. I really like Suko. Like, I like how much of a little shit that he is. Like,
Oh
he's
yes,
not.
that's what makes him great because uh, I was the same. Like, oh, we're getting the marketable plushie of like Grogu from Star Wars or Manila Mania Little Godzilla. We were getting one of those marketable things, but no, he is a little shit. He's an absolute menace, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's so great. Now I'm sure they will sell toys with Suko because he is cute. But yes, I did like that they weren't trying to just do the cutesy stuff with him. Like they weren't making him like a bashful type of like innocent little thing. But no, he actually is like he's mean like the moment he like we saw that scene in the trailer where he comes out of the fog and there's that silhouette and then he reveals himself. Like the first interaction that he has with Kong, like he traps him to have the other gorillas like attack him and bites his finger. I'm like, oh, okay, this dude's a little meaty. Like, so that actually made him more of an interesting character. Like seeing that type of dynamic. Um, and it's like I like that, even though Suko is treating Kong like that, like tries to trap him like a couple of times, Kong is like very patient with him. And he doesn't need to be patient with him. Like, even though there's that one hilarious part where when he gets attacked by the gorillas, he freaking grabs Suko by the leg and uses him as a weapon to
Oh,
hit
that
the
was
other
the best
gorilla.
part of the whole movie. That was the best part of the whole movie. Oh my god.
That was so funny. Oh my god. Like I can't believe it. But like I like with the relationship between Kong and Suko where it's like they're kind of rivals, but like, Kong is still being very patient with them and then like the Suko actually sees that he's being compassionate and he actually starts to open up to him and be a little nicer. So like I like that interaction. Like you're getting all that and they don't say a word. Like just like I said, the expressions that these two have. It's really, really good. Also, another thing that like took me off guard, I also have to keep in mind that Suko is actually bigger than Kong when he was in Skull
Yes,
Island.
the craziness that he is like only a few meters or like feet taller than Kong when he was a juvenile in Skull Island, and it's insane.
Like, so when he becomes grown, how big is he actually going to be?
Hmm.
That's going to be like he's probably going to dwarf Kong. So that's crazy to think about. Though, will we actually see Suko grown? Probably not, because he's too cute and marketable. But that's just crazy to think about, like that he's that big and he's technically that young. It's like it's nuts. Um. Okay. Who should we go to next? Actually, you know what? Let's go to the main antagonist, Skar King. I I that was he's really, really interesting. I really like Skar King. Um so when I saw the marketing for this, like they were like really teasing Skar King, like they're being very subliminal about him. All we knew is that he was another giant ape, and I was thinking that like he was going to be like this humongous giant ape that dwarfs Godzilla and Kong, like because it made it seem like he was going to be like the alpha kaiju that could challenge Godzilla, and it's like he's so big that he that Godzilla and Kong have to team against him to fight him. But actually, no. He's actually like Kong is actually a couple of feet taller than him, which I did not expect. What I actually really liked about Skar King is that like he kind of reminds me of, and it's ironic they have a similar name. He reminds me of Scar from The Lion King. Like when he's introduced in this movie, he's actually enslaving all the gorillas, all the apes. And what I notice about him, like he doesn't take control because of his strength, but he actually controls because of mind control. He actually controls people because of like his mental stuff, like manipulation. And I thought that's an interesting dynamic to bring to a kaiju monster. You don't expect kaiju monsters to have something like that, for them to be that intelligent, where they're actually able to manipulate other kaiju monsters. That is very fascinating. Um, and like we'll get to Shimo in a minute, but just like that's an interesting dynamic to have, and like it's freaking sick that he has a spine whip. He has a whip made out of a spine with the freaking sharp crystal knife thing at the end of it. And he uses that to whip people and stuff like that. And like he has a sick design. I'm not gonna lie. Like he's like a freaking I don't know what is he, a orangutan or something, a mixture of an orangutan and a chimpanzee. Like it's freaking nuts. What did you think about Skar King?
Okay, let's talk. Let's talk Skar King.
Oh.
I didn't like Skar King.
Oh no!
I would be. I'm no. Now I gotta be the bringer of disappointment. I wasn't a fan of Skar King. I thought the all the marketing was really hyping Skar King up to be this huge threat. He was going to make Ghidorah look like a chicken. He was the big bad, and he really wasn't. He really just felt like a bully monster, like a lesser threat. Like yes, he wanted to get to the top. Why do you want to get to the top? Uh, and like I feel his design is based on the Gigantopithecus, the ancient monkey that was huge, like was like a 10 foot tall ape.
It probably was based on that.
Probably based on that. Which let me talk about the Gigantopithecus. Which if you don't know what that is, if you remember King Louie from the live action Jungle Book, kind of like that. So Dwayne, you know about the Uncanny Valley, right?
Yes.
Like, and if you don't know, the Uncanny Valley is this weird kind of thing in technology where if something looks too human, it starts to be one of those creepy factors, like with animatronics or CGI. It's like an ingrained thing in humans, just like it's something looks too human, it starts to become creepy. And I saw this on TikTok, and someone brought this up. What if the Uncanny Valley is because of Gigantopithecus? Because picture this, Dwayne. You are an ancient human. You can't speak English. You can't do anything. You can make tools. You can make tools to protect yourself. You're sitting on a fire with your colleagues, your friends, and whatnot, and you can scare away saber-tooth tiger or wolf with a spear, or like a spear you made. But you just see this 10 foot tall ape that has the same kind of face as you, just staring at you. It's not doing anything. It's staring at you. It's watching you. You try to use your spear or your fire to scare it away, but it's not doing anything. All this is just staring at you. That is terrifying.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
But
that
honestly, that sounds like a bigger threat than Skar King was. Hey, good
damn.
night, everybody. Good night, everybody. I'll see you next week. Tip your wait staff. But yeah, I was not a fan. Like the spine whip is awesome, but that's also just whip swords are always cool. But like I wanted more. I wanted an actual threat. Really, I sent you memes about this. He felt like less of a threat. Like Godzilla and Kong felt overpowered for him.
Yeah, that's why I said like that's why I compare him to like Scar because like from the Lion King because like he wasn't ruling probably Rock because of his strength because of his manipulation. So like that was like a similar thing I saw with Scar King, which I personally thought was interesting. But I understand what you're saying, where it's like as far as like imposing threats, like like I said, he's not even bigger than Kong. Like he got him by a couple of feet, by a couple of inches. Whatever. I don't know how you scale kaiju monsters like compared to humans, but like a couple inches taller than him, which kind of surprised me. And speaking of uncanny valley, is it me or Scar King felt like had like the most like human type of like interaction out of all the kaiju monsters? Like the way just he moves and like when he's laughing, like he felt like a little too human in places. That's probably one criticism that I had, where it's like you feel a little too human because you're just walking like a human, you laughing and reacting like a human, like you like it, you're making fun of Kong like a human. I was like, okay, that's a little too cartoony. I'm not gonna lie. That's probably one thing I had an issue with. But continuing on, let's let's talk about Shimo.
Oh, this one was a surprise. This one, I like people who know me know I don't buy into leaks or any spoilers because it's the internet. Someone can make something up just like that. So I just thought it was gonna be Scar King, and then when like literally Shimo, hello, this is neat. I love. I think this is one of outside of Godzilla. It's she's one of my favorite monsters of the MonsterVerse. Like I
Oh,
love
really?
her. I will say it. She's like possibly one of my favorites. I love her design. I love the white and blue, and I love. I always am a fan of ice-based powers of cryokinesis. That's always one of my favorite like types of powers. And just it's cool we have another female monster. Like we have the female Muto and Mothra and Tiamat. There are some other female monsters, but it's cool that she's our first like female antagonist. And also she's actually one of the crazy part. She's almost as almost bigger than Ghidorah.
Really?
Yes, she's one of the biggest kaiju of in the MonsterVerse. She's actually nearly bigger than Ghidorah.
Actually, that probably does make sense because she already looks bigger than Godzilla. So I'm like, yeah, I believe it. She was humongous, especially when you saw everyone in Rio, and then you actually see how big she actually is. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Um, but yeah, I love her design too. Like she looks like a dragon, like an ice dragon. Like if you put
Yep,
her on
yep.
Game of
Here we
Thrones,
go.
she'll fit.
Yep, she is 162.45 meters, surpassing Ghidorah in height by 3.65 meters. She's not the largest overall because that goes to Tiamat in second place because Tiamat was 258 meters, and the longest, tallest kaiju in the MonsterVerse is Nakika from the comics. They're 274 meters long, so
Wow.
she is third place.
All right. That's that's one big beast. But but yeah, I love her design. I like the crystals on her back. I like that she shoots out ice breath
But
that
not only ice breath. Let's just say she caused the ice age. We like they just
oh
say
no,
that.
oh yeah, she
They
caused
just say she caused the ice age. You know, the big ice age. She's the cause of that. And that's just how do you skirt by from that? They just say it like they're hyping her up, and she says she's the cause of the ice age. The ice age.
yeah, that's insane. Like how were they able to how was humanity able to cover that up? That she's the one that caused the ice age. Like so this is like one of the biggest reveals that they like as far as human history, like how the monsters like affected mankind is that she's the one that caused the ice age. That's insane. That's how crazy we're going in this monsterverse now.
Hmm.
But but yeah, she like even like when we talked about like we you start to lose the scale of the monsters when you were spending majority of time of them in Hollow Earth. Even when she first came out, she she looked huge compared to the other other monsters where it's like, oh my goodness. Um but yeah, I love it. Love it. It is probably she's an original kaiju, right? Like
Yep,
she
she's purely original.
this is probably this is probably the best original kaiju design that they've done for the monsterverse so far. Like this is this is great. Amazing. And what I also like, skipping a little forward to the end fight, but like I liked that they didn't immediately kill her off.
Hmm.
Like there was this whole thing of that Skar King um was mind controlling her with the crystal that he had on his spine, which I thought that was very interesting. I'm wondering how is was that like a crystal that came from her back, or was it from the cave that they were in? Like, how did Scar King get like control of her like that?
We don't know. It's never explained.
It's very fascinating. And once again, this is adding more to the crazy Saturday morning cartoon tone that like this giant kaiju monster is mind controlling a even bigger kaiju monster and rides on top of her like a horse. This is the crazy stuff we're doing in this movie. It's insane, it's over the top, it's ridiculous, but it's freaking awesome. Oh man, this is crazy. Um okay, let's talk. Yeah, we could talk about Mothra. Let's peel that band-aid off. Mothra, she's back. She's freaking back. I think we knew she was gonna come back anyway. Like,
Yeah,
'cause,
yeah, because it is alluded to in King of the Monsters. Like I think it's in the post credit scene that a new Mothra egg has shown up. So it was only a matter of time until Mothra came back. But I will vouch for myself. I didn't know she was coming back. I didn't know she was coming back in this movie. So it was a true surprise to me that Mothra came back.
mm, yeah, a part of me in the back of my mind was didn't expect for them to bring her back in this one. But they're probably gonna wait till they do like maybe another Godzilla standalone or something like that. But I was pleasantly surprised. Um, the one thing that one gripe that I have is not, I wish that the internet would didn't tease that happening because I saw leaks on social media of Mothra coming back, and then I saw other sources and scoopers like teasing that as well. I'm just like, why can't we just wait for the movie? Like, how cool that would have been if nobody knew that was going to happen until they saw the movie. Like, because they went out their way because like I don't know if you remember like a spot like you remember the shot where they're in Egypt and Godzilla and Kong are roaring together, like they
Hmm.
literally cut out Mothra being in that shot because they wanted to leave it a surprise. Like why can't people just I just miss the days where like there wasn't leaks and scoopers and all that stuff and people actually waited to see what was happening in the movie and being surprised. um but you know, it is what it is. But I was happy that she came back. She looks great. Queen of the Monsters. And I liked that she was the one that was able to bring Kong and Godzilla together. Um, and she actually did help a little bit in the final battle as well, which I was happy about. Um, uh, yeah, okay, so I guess we can now move on to the. I would. There's not too much to say about Mothra because it's like she does play a factor in it, but there's not as much to say about her. Um, hopefully she stays around a little bit longer. Hopefully they don't try to kill her off again. But let us get to the main two. Let's start with Godzilla. He's great. Not too much. You know, not too much to say. It's pretty consistent with how he what his role in the first movie. Now I feel for you Godzilla fans that were disappointed that he wasn't in the movie more. I get
Yep,
it. I
yep.
get it. I'm sorry, Nick. I know. I feel you.
He's top billed for a reason. Why is he the sidekick? It made no sense. It's mostly Kong's show. Why not just Kong Godzilla? Why is Godzilla top billed if he's barely in his own movie?
That's a good point. That's a good point. They probably think it was. They probably thought it was easier to put Godzilla Kong. I think they thought that was easier to market it to be like Godzilla Kong because Godzilla versus Kong. So it's like, okay, Godzilla Kong. There we go. But I will say, um, for this third movie, Adam Wingard, if you're listening, you're probably not listening, but you should be. If you don't call the third movie King Kong Godzilla, you're messing up.
Actually, there's a reason. I did some digging after we saw it. They can't.
Why not?
So pretty much King Kong is still owned by Universal, and Universal still have the rights to use the King Kong nomenclature. Remember, this is Warner Brothers and Legendary. So pretty much it's like yeah, you can use Kong, but he ain't King Kong. So we're probably never going to get him actually someone saying King Kong because the King Kong name is still owned by Universal.
Darn you, Universal! You keep us from getting a Hulk film, and now we can't even say King Kong because I think after this movie, he's king now. He's
I mean,
ruling
I
over the other gorillas. He should be called King Kong now.
I mean, I've always had it after Godzilla versus Kong. Godzilla is king of the monsters, and Kong is king of the Hollow Earth. So he was King Kong by that point. But now, even now having the great apes and Suko and Shimo, he's definitely king of the Hollow Earth.
Fair. So at least they do that because Godzilla and Kong are still doing the tribalism stuff. Is like, don't you come up on the surface? It's my domain. Two alphas can't be in the same place at the same time. Whatever. But I still stand by what I say. Like I think when okay, if you can't call him King Kong, it should be called Kong Godzilla in the third movie. Like, and whatever subtitle you want to give it, like, come on, it's right there. But anyway, back to Godzilla. I thought it was really good. Um, Now they do sprinkle him out throughout the movie, so they don't wait till like the very end to show him. So like he does have a presence, but yeah, is he like the main kaiju that we're following? No. But let's ask the real question here, and I'll post this question to you, Nick, since you are the bigger Godzilla fan. Do you really think it would have worked if the humans were were having a connection with Godzilla and following Godzilla the same way they did with Kong? Do you really think that would have worked?
Oh no, no, it would have only worked with Kong. Godzilla is too much. He is the person who's like, I'll help y'all, but I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not gonna be your teammate. I'm
Yeah,
gonna help y'all because it's my job. I I Kong would do because he has a connection with human beings. Godzilla is pretty much he doesn't have that. It would not have worked.
Yeah. So like as I said before, I think having Kong be the main like focus, I think is smart on their part because we can relate to Kong a little bit more than Godzilla. You know, Godzilla is more like as you said, like a force. You know, more like an enigma in this, which I think is works fine with him. And I know you said that like you prefer Godzilla being like the bad guy. Like I think in this one, like he's not all the way good, but he's not all the way evil either. Like he's a tweener. Like he's not heel, but he's not a babyface. He's a
Oh
tweener.
yeah, which fits the MonsterVerse. The MonsterVerse Godzilla since day one has always been a neutral gray Godzilla. Like he is the one who balances the ecosystem between the Mutos and humanity. He is the one who's like, if someone is, that's why everyone was wondering like, why is Godzilla going after Scylla and Tiamat? They were stepping out of line, especially after he became king of the monsters. He comes in to get Kaijus who are stepping out of line, and also to get Skar King.
Yes, exactly. Um,
Which
but what?
fun fact about Godzilla's evolved form, it's not permanent. It's not permanent. Anyone who's thinking like, oh, it's permanent, it's not permanent.
I wanted
Yeah,
it to be permanent.
it's not permanent.
uh,
But
so so he's gonna go back to blue spikes
yeah,
now.
yeah, he'll be back to normal
Uh,
after this. But a cool thing, the designer for his evolved form, he came out and said how what in a Q&A on Twitter/X of how he came with the design. The design was inspired by Goku's Kaioken form. Well, not form, but the Kaioken from Dragon Ball.
mm,
He
okay.
actually, yeah, because a person asked on Twitter, was it based on Goku Black's Super Saiyan Rose form from Dragon Ball Super? But the designer was like, actually, no, I didn't see that when I was making it, but it was based on Goku doing Dragon Ball. So yeah.
That makes sense because it was giving Super Saiyan vibes. I'm not gonna lie. Um, and also it reminded me of in Godzilla 2000 because he had like pinkish purple spikes in that as well. So
Which is my favorite of the suits of the old Godzilla films. I love that suit.
yeah, I it's probably one of my favorites as well. That's why I was hoping that he would keep that look going forward. But I guess I mean if he's gonna go back to blue spikes, that's fine. But like I was digging it ever since I saw it in the trailer. Like Pinkzilla, I know everyone was dubbing it Pinkzilla. I was so digging Pinkzilla. It was so freaking badass. And like he has more spikes on his tail and stuff like that, and he shoots out pink atomic breath. That's freaking amazing. I thought that was so cool. That's so cool. Um, I thought it was funny too that like his resting place is in the in the Coliseum thing in
Yeah,
Rome.
that was great. I love that because Adam Wingard said he's based Godzilla on his cat, and which is the same with Yamazaki from Godzilla Minus One. Both of the most recent Godzillas have been based on cats, and it's fun. It's just cute.
It is cute. I will say, like, when they were releasing the Funko Pops, they had this one pop of Godzilla like going to sleep, and I was like, that's a random, that's a random thing that you would do
Want
that.
it
Why did they
now.
do that?
I want it now. You know me. I'm not a Funko guy, but I want to buy. I will actually buy a Funko of that because that is adorable.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that makes sense now. That makes sense now. They should have, they should have put like the arena like around him on the pop too. Like that would have made
I
more.
think some people have done 3D prints of that. I think I saw one on TikTok earlier of someone actually made a little coliseum for Godzilla to sleep in.
Oh, that's cute. That's very cute. I'm definitely getting me the big pops of Godzilla and Kong. Like that's going to be in my collection. I must have it, and I will get it. So last but not least, Kong. We've already talked about him a lot throughout this podcast, but just emphasizing what we already talked about earlier. Kong is great, absolutely great. Um, he seems to be the most relatable as far as the kaiju monsters. We're actually able to connect with him the most. Um, and I just like seeing his how he evolved ever since Kong Skull Island. It's just really interesting to see him evolve, and like this is the most like development we've seen for Kong, like in any iteration. Like I really appreciate that the MonsterVerse like took time to develop him and put him on the. I would consider him on the same level as Godzilla now because of course before then, I don't think people were really caring for Godzilla as much as I don't think people were really caring for Kong as much as Godzilla. But like these MonsterVerse movies really did a good job, like putting him on similar similar feet with Godzilla, and I really do appreciate that. It's one of the reasons why I am more of a Kong person than Godzilla now. Even though I still love Godzilla, he's awesome. But like Kong, I just really like that I'm able to connect with him, and he's able to connect with the humans. I think that's great. And obviously he's still badass with his fight scenes, like just ripping kaiju monsters apart. Like it is so it is so gratifying to see. So gratifying to see. And you know what? I know people were making fun of that giant gauntlet that he has. But you know what? I think it's freaking awesome. I I love the gauntlet. It's silly. It's over the top. It's Power Rangers, but it's awesome. And they actually explain why they have the gauntlet. It's not just, oh, we just have this gauntlet run walking around. No, they actually have an explanation because after the fight with Mechagodzilla in the previous movie, Monarch was concerned that Kong wouldn't have like the tools to fight the next big threat. So they decided to create this augmentation with him, and that makes sense. And then they stopped doing it because they stopped with the funding or whatever, and coincidentally they were working on it in the similar area that they needed it, so that's how they were able to get it. So that stuff made sense. It made sense. Was it convenient? Sure, but still, like they actually explained how they got it there. So, and they actually was able to, not only did it give him like extra power, but was actually able to like tend to his wound after Shimo did gave him frostbite. So that was really really cool. And he still had scenes with his axe as well, so he's using both. So
Yeah,
awesome
giving
stuff.
us a very yeah. I think a lot of people were saying that this one was pretty much God of War MonsterVerse edition
Pretty
because
much.
pretty much Kong is Kratos and Suko is Atreus.
Yep.
So which is great, but I still haven't played it. So
I
I
haven't
think
either.
I may play that later after this recording. I may finally jump in the God on the new God of War. I played the old school ones. Time to jump in on the new one. Also, you're saying, Nick, how have you not played it yet? You should know, if you know this by now. I'm late to things. I'm so late to things because I'm very busy. I miss things. So, although,
Same here. I still don't have a PS5.
sidetrack, another tangent. I finished the Fallout series. Please watch it. It's very good. It is really good.
Cool. Are you excited
So,
for the show?
say that again.
Are you excited for the show?
The Fallout show.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the game.
Oh, I played the games. The games are great. I love the games. I finished binging the whole show today.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool,
It's
cool.
great. Definitely check it out. Even if you have not played the games, it's actually very newcomer friendly.
Okay. Yeah, I might give it a shot. I might give it a shot. Um but yeah, so what I we can start talking about this like the overall third act and climax because it all just comes together. Ever starting with when Kong and Godzilla face off again in Egypt and the pyramids. This is just nut stuff, man. They have a second round. Pinkzilla versus Gauntlet Kong.
Which
Um,
not only that, even before that, they have a roar off. But
yes.
Kong is in Egypt, and Godzilla, I believe he's in Greece. He is not. They're not in the same area. Godzilla jumps off a cliff in a slow mo money shot. Jumps off a cliff and swims the Strait of to get to Egypt. Now, I'm not. I had to look this up because, like I said, I'm not a smart man. That was like 200 meters, 200 feet away. Godzilla was booking it to get to Kong.
He sure was booking it. I was like, I'm gonna be there in 2 minutes. Get on. Got something for you. But yeah, so they have a little tussle in Egypt, um, which I thought that was very entertaining. Seeing Godzilla and Kong fighting in Egypt and blasting pyramids, like that's freaking, it's insanity. And it's like I like that Kong actually had the upper hand on Godzilla and freaking beating the crap out of him with the gauntlet. Like he had ground and pounding him. Like that stuff was freaking awesome.
And
And
then,
then
and not only that, and then we're probably going to talk about it, the suplex of suplexes.
Suplex City! Suplex City! Godzilla freaking suplexes Kong. Like freaking it's WWE. Freaking suplexed him. Like, what are we doing here, man? This freaking insane. Oh my god, I love it. Freaking loved it.
It was great. It was amazing.
Like even like and then when Kong's like like when he knocks out Godzilla for a second and like he tries to drag Godzilla with his tail and put him into the port of the Hollow Earth, then you just see like the with his spikes, and then he tries to blast them with the atomic breath and it accidentally blasts the pyramid. I'm like, dude, it's freaking it's crazy. But the madness doesn't stop there. After Mothra tells them, break it up, you two, we gotta work together. Get over your shit for just 15 minutes. We gotta stop this other guy. So they go to Hollow Earth, and of course, we've seen that running shot in the trailer with Kong and Godzilla running together, and then Kong getting on Godzilla's. There's that shot. It's the shot where Shimo or Skar King is riding Shimo, and then Kong gets on top of Godzilla, and then there's that freaking shot of all of them just jumping at each other. I'm like, whoa, my freak.
This is why films were made. This came filmmakers to do it like this. I
Cinema,
love it.
freaking cinema. And then they have, okay, so what a lot of people were hoping that they were going to do in Godzilla versus Kong is have a zero gravity fight because they set that up in Godzilla versus Kong, but they did do it. But it feels like Adam Wingard heard heard their cries and was like, "Oh, you want a zero gravity fight? Don't worry, I got you in the next one." Because then Shimu, Skar King, Godzilla, and Kong have a freaking zero gravity fight in Hollow Earth, and Mothra comes in and stops the other gorillas and helps the humans. Dude, it's freaking amazing. Oh my god, it was insanity. Dude, everybody's flying everywhere. Freaking Shimu tries to blast people. Godzilla comes in blasting stuff left and right. Mothra saves the humans from getting killed. Oh, there's this one thing where what's his name? Dan Stevens gets a ship and has like the yellow zebra pterodactyl things come and like swarm the Skar King and the other gorillas. That was a cool like sequence there, and playing music. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy esque.
Oh yeah, like Trapper's whole thing is that he's playing 80s hair metal. So like you're just hearing Kiss, "I was made for loving you, baby," just playing, and it knows exactly what its tone, and it's going having a ball. Although this is definitely one of those cases, the zero gravity fight is definitely a case of big is everybody right now, because like it does. You do lose the scale a little bit. Like, how big is everybody right now?
Yeah, and everybody's going really fast and charging at each other really fast, and it's like, yeah, like I get that, but like I'll admit, even at that moment, I wasn't even thinking about it because it's freaking these kaiju monsters are having a zero gravity fight. It's awesome.
I mean, you were sitting right next to me. I was doing the same, but it is one of those things I've slept on. Like, how big is everybody? It still is awesome. You're not caring. You're just having a ball. You're having a ball. This is the scarfing down popcorn and just having a big old smile on your face.
Absolutely. I think the only time where you actually got some scale is like when Mothra rescues the humans in the ship. That's like the only time you see like the actual scale of it. But other than that, yeah, like I agree with you there. But then But then, oh, and Suko comes in and like throws a freaking rocket at a couple of the gorillas. I'm like, it's just, it's crazy. But man, when they get to Rio, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, people died. No, you
Uh,
cannot even. You can't even skirt. There was an evacuation. No, people died.
no,
It's just a sunny day in Rio. People minding their own business. A portal opens up. I think what in the ocean, and Skar King finally gets to the surface, and he just with Shimo just starts laying waste to Rio, just freezing it over, trying to freeze the sky, and just Rio becomes just a battleground for this final battle.
oh my God, like y'all, if y'all didn't get the scale before, you definitely got it now. Like, Rio's gone. It's gone. Everyone's dead. Like the body count in this movie is outrageous. Completely insane. Buildings up top of buildings, on top of buildings, destroyed. People were in those buildings.
Like
Like,
Scar King literally like chain whips a building and throws it at Kong.
and then Kong punches it with his gauntlet. They're dead. Oh my God. It's like, I know that's something you can't help. It's like, the monsters aren't going to be like, oh wait, oh look out, humans. Oh, I'm gonna try not to make. No, it's monsters fighting. Like there's going to be casualties, but it's just like I'm so glad we don't live in a world where there's giant monsters walking around because I don't think humans. I don't think there'd be any humans left if that was the case. But like it was madness. That entire sequence with Godzilla and Kong versus Shimu and Skar King, man, it was nuts. Like Godzilla, like to freaking Shimu tossing Godzilla through buildings, freaking Kong. There's that one shot of Kong knocking Skar King's tooth out. That was kind of funny. Um, freaking Godzilla trying to blast Skar King and he's like missing him jumping on top of buildings, very reminiscent of the fight in Japan in Godzilla versus Kong.
Hong
Uh,
Kong.
Hong Kong, I'm sorry, Hong Kong. But yeah, like so many insane spots in here. Um and then eventually Suko comes in and helps and brings Kong's axe and then breaks the crystal that's mind controlling Shimu, and then she goes back to normal, and then she ends up helping Godzilla and Kong. So Kong grabs Skar King. Well, first of all, there's that other funny shot of like Kong tossing Skar King to Godzilla, and then Godzilla hits Skar King with his tail like it's baseball. It's like what in the hell is going on with this movie? But then Kong grabs Skar King, and then when Shimu gets out of her mind control, she freezes Skar King, and then Kong smashes Skar King to the ground into little itty bitty pieces, like it's a Mortal Kombat fatality. Holy freaking crap! That was insane. Oh my god, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I had to get over the sheer amount of humans that got killed in that sequence. That like Rio is gone. Like when I say Rio is gone, it is gone. I'm not being facetious. Everything is destroyed. But that's like the craziest monster fight I've seen up until this point. Adam Wingard went all in on that sequence. Like it was crazy, absolutely nuts. Um, so yeah, so everything wraps up at the end. Godzilla goes back to sleep. Kong goes back to Hollow Earth with Suko and Shimo, and frees the other gorillas, apes, whatever they are. He's now the true king of Hollow Earth, but now he's not going to rule with fear. He's going to rule with fairness and kindness. So I thought that's great. All of that was great. Um, and yeah, that is Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. It was absolutely insane. I really had a blast with it. Like, you know, we could nitpick a lot of stuff about the plot. Like, there's actually one scene in the movie that I actually did not like. I didn't care for. Was the whole exposition in the cave where the humans were explaining the origins of Skar King. It What was so silly about that was because they're reading off an entire exposition about Skar King, and they got it from cave drawings. And this is the first time they're in this place, and they got that in the entire backstory of Skar King from those cave drawings. That was very, very silly. That was probably the one scene in the movie that I did not like. But outside of that, like, I don't know, guys. I don't know what to tell you. The human stuff didn't bother me like that. It helped get the plot along. Like, it didn't bother me at all. There's some really silly, over the top stuff. There's some craziness in here, like ridiculous, over the top, silly stuff. But as I said before, I had such a fun time. It brought me back to my inner childhood. I'm not gonna lie. Like, a movie can have this and that, like a weak plot, weak characters, but like, if at least you have fun watching it, I think that's enough for me to give it a positive recommendation. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Now I do want to speculate a little bit about what they possibly could do in a third movie. I also heard that the tease is going around that they could bring Destroya in the third movie. How would you feel about that?
I would be that would be interesting. It would be very interesting if they brought Destroya into the MonsterVerse. Which, if you don't know who Destroya is, like I said, if you're a new Godzilla fan, you're wondering who that is. Destroya is pretty much Godzilla's final boss in the Heisei era of Godzilla, the from 1984 to 1994 or 95. He's the final boss of that era. He is, I would say, out of Ghidorah, Godzilla's most evil antagonist. He was created from the Oxygen Destroyer, and just he is a threat. He would be a very good like final boss for the MonsterVerse. I'd be interested. I know the reason, like, there is a lot of legal loopholes the MonsterVerse still have to go through from Toho. So I think Adam Wingard himself has stated interest. So maybe it could happen, but who knows? Who really knows? Because out of Destroya, I don't really know who could be out of Godzilla's rogues gallery, who could be a bigger threat than Ghidorah or Mechagodzilla? Because Gigan is more of a crook than like an actual like world ender. Same with Megalon, and maybe Violante or Hedorah if you make them more cosmic horror. It's just one of those. It's tricky, but that's why we have writers to figure this out.
What do, what do you think about them doing Space Godzilla?
It's tricky. I'd be down for it because I will be honest, I'm not a big fan of Space Godzilla. His
Mm,
movie is kind of just meh,
hmm
but then it will be raising a question of How many Godzilla duplicates or doppelgangers can we get? Because we got Mecha Godzilla. Then we're going to Space Godzilla. Like it will be one of those like we just got a duplicate of Godzilla. Skar King, you could say, is a duplicate of Kong. Are we going to another duplicate of Godzilla? It's tricky. It's tricky. It,
Yeah, I would be curious to see how they would handle a Gigan or a Biolante. That would be very interesting to see if they decide to do that. But I mean, Destroyer, I think would probably be the next would like be the next like natural progression, unless they're still interested in doing a Mecha King Ghidorah, which I don't know if they will do that. But
yeah, I think well we did get that. It's Mecha Godzilla. We pretty much got that. It's Monster vs. Mecha Godzilla because he pretty much was Mecha King Ghidorah and Mecha Godzilla in one thing.
I know, but
And plus, now with Mecha Godzilla dead, that I think that ship has long sailed. Ghidorah's body is gone. It is gone, Zo.
fair enough. I guess they probably don't. They probably can't really do it now. But yeah, I still like that Jet Jaguar idea that you thought. I definitely want to see that.
That would be cool. Like I cannot take idea. I can't take I created that idea. Other people have brought it up, and honestly, it really works. It really works.
It does. It does. What I think plot wise, what I think they should do for the next one, because I think there should be a plot point where the monsters are causing so much destruction and deaths where the humans turn on the kaiju and try to capture all of them and figure out a way to destroy all of them because the government and whatever other officials that are funding Monarch, they believe that the monsters are becoming too dangerous and too powerful for their own good, and it's causing millions upon millions of deaths. So they're like, we're gonna hunt all the kaiju's and possibly kill them all. Like a kind of like a maybe like a destroy all monsters influence type of thing. That's what I think they should. I think that would be interesting if they went that approach. I don't know if they'll do it in Godzilla Kong 3, but I think that should be a plot point for a MonsterVerse
I
movie.
think they are kind of building up to that, which kind of makes sense because we are like, this is the furthest in the timeline for the MonsterVerse because this movie does not take place. This movie takes place in 2027. So
whoa,
like
whoa, wait a minute. What? 2027?
2027. It doesn't take place in 2024. It's 2027. Because remember, G is now is like middle school, high school age now. She was like 10 in Godzilla versus Kong.
Jesus Christ. I mean, we have spaceships now and portals to other stuff. So I guess we are we are that far into the future. But but yeah, I think that would be interesting if they decide to go that route.
And it could work because Destroy All Monsters takes place in like in like the far future, like in both the Japanese dub. It says it's like the far like 20th century or like 21st century, and then and then the English dub of Destroy All Monsters says it takes place in 1999. So Destroy All Monsters is always far in the future.
mhm. So that will be interesting. Um well, if there isn't anything else, we could go to grades and final thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I think I will give Godzilla Kong the New Empire. I'll give it a B plus. It's really really good. I really really enjoyed it. I did have some issues here and there. I don't think this is the best installment of the MonsterVerse, but I still had a lot of fun watching this movie. And if you are fans of the MonsterVerse, and especially if you enjoy Godzilla vs Kong, I definitely think that you will enjoy this. And man, I hope the MonsterVerse never ends. I hope we get as many as possible. I hope that they're able to use more rights of the Toho monsters and bring them in here. but I also like that they're still making original monsters, and for the most part, I think the original monsters are really cool. So, your final thoughts, Nick?
Honestly, like I said before in the beginning, we are living in a kaiju renaissance. Even outside of Godzilla, we are just eating good as kaiju fans. So this is a great time to ever, if you want to get into it, jump on in. Especially if you want to show your kids, show them this. This is a great jumping on point for to watch Godzilla. I don't do letter ratings. I've never done. I've stopped doing that. Now I give this movie a positive. It is a whole bunch of fun, very much thumbs up. If you want to just turn your brain off and have a good time watching giant monsters just absolutely wreck house with each other and cities, go see it. It's so much. It's a lot of fun. You'll have a great time.
Absolutely. Well, those are our thoughts on Godzilla Kong, the New Empire. Tell us, what did you guys think about it if you guys have seen it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does this compare to the other MonsterVerse films? And if you feel so inclined, how does this compare to the rest of the Godzilla films throughout history? If you want to go back that far, comment your thoughts down below. And are you guys excited for more MonsterVerse installments after this? Comment your thoughts down below and let us know. So I think now, like, we will go back and cover a couple of the shows that are in the MonsterVerse. We will review the first season of Monarch, and I there's also a Skull Island anime on Netflix that's also part of the MonsterVerse, which I did not know about. So we'll probably go back and review both of those in the near future. They did recently announce that they are renewing Monarch for a second season, and we will see other spin-off shows that will take place in the MonsterVerse. So definitely excited to see where they're going to go from here. But if you guys enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos we'll be doing. Anything you want to plug, Nick?
Nope, I got nothing to plug now.
All right. Well, that is all we have for you, Godzilla fans, King Kong fans, and we will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.